everyone, welcome and thank you so much for joining me today. This is my YouTube video for the Crescent Creations Team Tiny blog, YouTube hop. So I'm going to be making a shaker card today, and just a disclaimer, Crescent Creations gave everyone on the hop these digital stamps. So I've printed them out on Nina Crescent Solar White. And that's suitable for alcohol markers, and I'll be using alcohol markers to colour in the images later. But first things first, I've cut an A7 sized panel using waffle flower dies, and this has my sentiment on it, so it's got trick or treat, and it's got a cute little spider, and I'm just doing some ink blending with some distress inks. So they're not the oxides, because if you use the oxides they'd cover up all of the sentiment in the background, so I wanted to use just normal distress inks. Blending with distress inks is much harder than it is with oxides, so it involves a lot more effort. So all of this, the entirety of this video is sped up about 4 times because I was desperate to try and keep it under 15 minutes. So as I mentioned before, this is a YouTube hop. It's hashtag driven, so look for the Crescent Creations hashtag and follow the hashtag to find all of the videos. I believe that there are 12 of us participating in this hop today, so do watch all of the videos in the hop, because Crescent Creations shop, which is crescentcreations.com, they've got a new website, and the link for their website is included in the information below this video. So crescentcreations.com will be giving away a $25 gift voucher to their store to one lucky commenter on the YouTube videos. So do go and look and comment on all of the videos to be in with a chance for a $25 gift certificate. So anyway, back to the card. I'm continuing with my ink blending, and I have the joys of all of these different ink blending foams because my distress inks are quite old, so some of them still have the rectangular foams with them, some of them have the circular foams. I only have the domed foams for the oxides, so I don't have any domed foams for my distress inks yet. So just ink blending here. And I'm on my final colour, I'm on the shaded lilac. And when this is wet, the sentiment is kind of difficult to read, but as it dries out, it gets much easier to read. And I have just masked off using a post-it note the little spider that's over the A on the treat. So I'm just going to peel my mask away now, and you can see the little spider. And as I mentioned before, I'm going to be using alcohol markers for colouring these in. And you can see my Spectrum Noir IG5 is really quite dry. I don't know if I need to re-ink it or what. So I decided to move on to IG7 and IG9 for colouring in my spider. I hadn't masked off the legs, which was maybe a mistake, but I thought that they were really, really fiddly and I didn't really want to mask them off. So I'm colouring over the legs with my alcohol markers, and I'm hoping that that's going to, kind of suffice. So now comes the fun bit. I'm going to be using laminating pouches. This is a do as I say, don't do as I do. I'm going to be using laminating pouches and sprinkling glitter in it to create the front for my shaker pouch. So I'm just I've got some Martha Stewart glitter here, and I'm just using my tonic spoon to try and spread it out all over the laminating pouch. So the reason why the first laminating pouch that I showed you was completely crumpled is because I hadn't included any cardstock in with the laminating pouch. So it went in one end of my laminating machine and did not come out the other. So as I said, do as I say, don't do as I do. Include some stiff cardstock that the laminator can grab hold of, and that it can use it to pull it through the laminating machine. Because otherwise you'll end up in a bit of a panic wondering how on earth you're supposed to get this thing out. I ended up having to unplug it and get my tweezers out and pull it out through the back. But because it got all crumpled whilst it was hot, I've tried flattening it under books and it just doesn't work. So yeah, don't put it through unless you've got a piece of cardstock, which I am putting down in the bottom corner, but because I'm out of shot, you won't be able to see. Yeah, you can just about see it at the bottom. I'm just putting in a scrap piece of cardstock. It doesn't have to be fancy or anything. And I'm just going to put this through the laminator. So because I've sprinkled all of that loose glitter on, I'm also going to slide a piece of paper or a heavyweight cardstock underneath the laminating pouch, so that when I lift it up to laminate it, the glitter won't just all go to one end. Also, for this particular effect to work, less is sometimes more. I did try off-screen doing a different glitter mix. So I'd put loads of glitter in, and the glitter was so thick that when I put it over the top of the sentiment, you couldn't read it at all. So it was kind of it was too much for what I was trying to attempt, because I do still want to be able to read the sentiment through it. And you can see up in the top left hand corner that even with the little cardboard shim on one side, it did wrinkle a bit on the other side. So that cardboard or cardstock shim inside the laminating pouch is really important. So I'm just die cutting out another A7 panel. So I have off screen die cut an A7 panel from black cardstock, and then I've cut out an internal window from that and used again the waffle flower A7 dies, nesting dies, and I used the 6th biggest. So I've used the biggest to get the outer section, and then the 6th biggest to get that frame in the middle. So I'm just using double-sided sticky tape to stick down my laminated section, and I'm so sorry that this all of this construction bit is taking so long. I know that you will probably want to be seeing the colouring. In fact, do let me know in the comments below, which bits of card making you find most instructive. Do you enjoy the colouring, or do you enjoy construction, or do you enjoy kind of other aspects of card making, like interesting folds and things? So do let me know in the comments section below. So I mentioned Team Tiny a little bit earlier. So Team Tiny are a load of creative YouTubers. So some of us do card making, some do scrapbooking, and other creative outlets such as art journaling. And we all have under 1,000 subscribers. And this means that we are able to produce content that doesn't have adverts in it. So you can watch all of these videos ad-free. So we club together on a Facebook group called Team Tiny, and we share our videos and other information to try and grow our channels. So we are trying to increase our subscriber count. So if you do want to subscribe, do please click the bell icon. So just to create to go back to the card, to create the shaker well, I've used a double layer of foam tape, and this is the Arteza foam tape. I've only shown adhering one layer of foam tape because this video is getting long anyway. So I've got some purple, I don't know how to say this word, rochelles. Please tell me how you pronounce it in the comments below. I've got some sequins as well. So these are from Doodlebug. And also, I don't know if you follow my YouTube video already, but I had an AliExpress haul recently, and I got all of these adorable clay bats. And so just sprinkling them in there as well. The reason why I love the laminator pouch with the glitter in it is because even when your shaker card is upright, so when somebody's displaying it on their mantelpiece or something, it still has some kind of shaker elements on the front of it, which is what I love. But all of these chunky little shaker bits do make a wonderful rattling noise when you shake it, so that's awesome. So I am trying to line up the front of my card and the sentiment panel using my Tim Holtz stamping platform. It doesn't go quite as well as I would like it to, mostly because the cardstock is quite bent because it got quite soggy during all of the inking. My laminated section is kind of bent because it wasn't perfectly flat. And so despite my absolute best efforts to try and line them up perfectly, because normally this does work, I was a bit skew-whiff. So I'm just cutting off any ink blended bits that are sticking out, and now nobody will ever know. Like, it looks fine. It looks fine. So just applying as much pressure as I possibly can to really adhere that double layer of foam tape, because we don't want any of the shaker bits to come popping out. So included in this set of digital stamps that we were gifted by Crescent Creations, we have some sentiments like "Let's Go Trick or Treating," "Too Cute to Spook," and "Happy Halloween." So I've just die cut the "Let's Go Trick or Treating" with a, I believe, MFT flagged banner die. And I'm just I adhered it inside the card. Well, I will be adhering it inside the card in a second, and I'm adhering the shaker panel to the front. So then I've got "Trick or Treat" on the front of the card and "Let's Go Trick or Treating" on the inside of the card. And I'm just going to line that up using my T-square ruler, because I never managed to get my sentiments inside the card straight, like never. So now we've got essentially an almost finished card. So the last thing to do is just colour in all of these lovely images. So I'm colouring in just the candy corns and the sweeties. I don't have a scan and cut, so cutting all of these out by hand would be quite difficult. Which is why I'm sticking to just colouring in kind of the ones that are larger and therefore slightly easier to fussy cut. So I will be fussy cutting out the candy corns and the sweets. I'll be sticking one of the sweets inside on top of the sentiment flag, and some of the sweets and candy corns on the outside with the trick-or-treaters. I hope that you can see what I'm doing when I'm colouring in. I'm not zoomed in as much as I would like, but because the images are all spread out over the page, it was better to be zoomed out and make sure that you could see stuff rather than, you know, kind of zooming in too much and ending up just having a picture of the back of my hand and being colouring off screen. So these are the trick-or-treaters, and I thought that this zombie might be quite scary, and I didn't want her to be scary. I wanted her to be cute, so I made sure that she just had face paint on in terms of being grey and zombie-like. So she's got face paint on and only one shoe or one sock, and her little trick-or-treating pail, and her friend over here is going as a ghost and he's got his sheet on. So I use Spectrum Noir alcohol markers. They are refillable and you can replace the tips. And I do have a separate video on how I care for my Spectrum Noir markers. Because the Spectrum Noirs are refillable and you can replace the tips, they are similar to Copics, but there aren't quite as many colours available. But to me, they were the better option than Copics, because I didn't know where to start, and Spectrum Noir sell their markers as packs of 3 or packs of 6 or packs of 24, So it was easier to build up my colour collection and know how to blend. So I find the Spectrum Noirs more intuitive in terms of knowing what colours to use for blends. So just colouring in these 2 trick-or-treaters, I decided to stick with 2 because the front of this card is getting really quite busy with the shaker panel and the sentiment behind all of the shaker bits. So I just wanted 2 trick-or-treaters, 1 on either side, and a few candy corns. So almost coloured in, and I did use a glaze, black glaze pen for the zombies' eyes, just so that they stand out a bit. And unfortunately my camera died, so I didn't actually film sticking them onto the front of the card. I thought it was filming, but it wasn't. So if you would like to continue hopping along with all of the other participants, please do join us on the Crescent Creations Hop. And thank you so much for sticking with me till the end. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please do consider subscribing and thumbs upping. And thank you so much for joining me today on watching this video. Bye.